second time. I am the last speaker on this panel. We are already out of the time, and I will try in the next 15, maximum 20 minutes to present, to deliver my presentation. Title is Actuarial Profession, the Western Balkan Case. Actually, 2/3 of my presentation is for Macedonia, 1/3 is for the rest of the Western Balkan countries. But however, when I will talk about these 2/3 for Macedonia, it's the same experience in the other Western Balkan countries because we have more commonalities than differences among the Western Balkan countries. Well, about the actuarial profession in Macedonia, I will start sharing with you my experience in the last 10 years when I become a university professor, teaching introduction course of insurance principle at my university, St. Klime Ohridski in Ohrid. And in my first class, when I started with my students and talking about what kind of insurance professional career you can find in the insurance world, always I'm saying that the biggest challenge, if you like to build up real expert and challenging professional career in insurance, is actuarial profession. But you have to be careful about this issue. Now I will start with a good thing. First of all, each time you have open job position. Second, the starting salary is always on the highest level, which is not the case in the Balkan countries, but in the developed countries. According to some statistics that I found, the starting salary for the actuarials are on the highest level comparing to other, any kind of other business opportunities. But from the other hand, don't forget that you must challenge yourself and to pass really hard studying. And second, very important, don't forget to enjoy in your life. So it's not easy to be actuary. Okay. My presentation consists of 3 pillars. First, I will introduce you to the history of actuarial profession in Macedonia. Second, I will talk about the history of actuarial education in Macedonia. And then we'll make some comparison and to share one survey that we did through cooperation with our colleagues from the Western Balkan countries. And then I will end up with some conclusion, recommendation, and of course to share with you what is my personal dream regarding to actuarial profession in the Western Balkan countries. Before I start, I would like to share with you that I'm very thankful to my colleagues, my 2 ladies, my 2 actuaries in the Insurance Supervisory Authority, Ivan and Slajana, who helped me to prepare this presentation and for her inputs of this presentation. The actuarial profession in Macedonia. So, in 2010, in Macedonia, existed 13 insurance companies, 2 life and 9 non-life. In these 13 companies, 9 companies were sharing the same actuary person. So one person was involved in 9 companies out of these 13 companies. Then, second, what was the perception about the actuarial profession? We have such concern. For your information, the Insurance Supervisory Agency was established by the end of 2009. And our first impression when we started as a supervisory authority was very weak general perception about the actuarial works from the point of view of the industry, from the point of view of the management boards. For example, to the discussion, some of the management boards, some of the CEOs in the history of the company said that, you know, to have actuarial, it's like to have really regulatory imposed burden. Second, that we can act even with actuary, equally good and maybe even better. What is here also important, that in terms of the ownership structure in our industry, we have heavy presence of foreign companies. And they said that why we need local actuaries, because we will give support from our parent companies, where they have actuarial department. Also, the management board, always they complain that the actuaries work against their interest, meaning that by increasing the level of technical provision, they should reduce the profit of the company. So less bonus for the management board members. And then the final perception was that when we started with our work, we're really concerned about the level of the technical provisions. So this was the first stage of the actuarial profession in Macedonia, what kind of condition we found. And then, now I will move to the second phase, which is still actual. In November, as I said, Insurance Supervisory Authority was established. And I don't like to sound selfish, but I think that this was more crucial step in increasing the capacity of actuarial profession, and I will prove why. First, because of the regulatory framework. We imposed so much high requirements for the industry, which was really close related with the actuarial work. And in that sense, we put a really soft pressure to the industry to pay attention about the importance and the quality of the work of the actuarial staff. Second, our focus was also in implementing this regulation, not just regulation related with the insurance law, but also we imposed a lot of secondary regulation, which directly and indirectly regulated the work of actuaries. So implementing the regulation meaning everyday supervisory activities. And what we do, so what we did. So I will pay focus now on this area. We changed the reporting standards from the core, and at the same time introducing new requirements that we thought are of supervision. This was the first step towards changing the information system of the companies. In order to comply with the requirements, many companies has to intervene in their information system. In the first 2 years after the establishment of the Insurance Supervisory Authority, we've performed full on-site inspection in all companies with the main focus of technical provisions. And what were our findings? In the MTPL, which cover almost half of the total business in non-life segments, the runoff results for the claims in the end of 2011 in 8 out of 11 non-life companies shows minus 33% in relative terms of the appropriate level of the technical provisions. Then what we realized that we need a strong measures, and Insurance Supervisory Authority, we issued a lot of orders, warning, recommendation, and the most important, prescribing some extensive guidance, and we made a great movement in the level of technical provisions. As a part of this operation, we found that the database in many companies were inappropriate for proper reserving, which was completely resolved. Although the technical provision were in our focus, we review also other area of insurance operation where we expected that actuaries would be involved. For example, reinsurance operation, pricing, product designing, companies' information systems. By using the supervisory tools, we requested greater involvement of actuaries. In that way, we ask companies to have reports with regard to this operation signed by a qualified actuary. In addition, actuaries provide an extensive actuarial report in which, in great details, they give opinions for different insurance operations. Also, the reinsurance program, the solvency margin, the capital adequacy, the introduction of new products should be signed by an actuary. Actuaries give overall opinion of the solvency position of the insurance company. Then the third pillar for increasing the level of actuarial profession was actuarial education. We organize, but later on I will come to the actuarial education, and I will give you overview about the history of our actuarial education and what kind of efforts we did. So I will skip for a moment this pillar. And the last pillar is that Insurance Supervisory Agency set up a very close cooperation with Macedonian Actuarial Association, named as Actuary. Where are we now? In this moment, we have 32 actuaries who passed the actuarial exam, and 29 out of these 32 are qualified actuaries. We have, at least in each company, one actuary. We are satisfied with the level of the technical provisions. Still there is a room for improvements, but however, there are some appropriate level of technical provisions. And also, we realize that actuaries are more involved, not only in provisioning, but also in the other area of insurance operation, as I mentioned, reinsurance, pricing, product designing, information database, and etc. But are we happy with the current condition, or there is some more open space for improvement and developments? Yes, of course. Besides all efforts, still, the impression is that the actuaries are not involved in the strategic decision-making procedures. We have only one actuary who is the member of the management board. So we're expecting that the companies, the industry, will open the door and by entering the actuarial professionals, experts in their corporate governance structures. Also, what will be our future challenges that we have to be aware? Still, we have regulated MTPL tariff, but however, it will come very soon, the process of liberalization. The actuary will have crucial role in this big project when we'll start with liberalization of the MTPL. Also, very soon it will come the Solvency II implementation. And we heard from our previous speakers what huge challenge will we have in terms of implementation and what will be the crucial role of actuaries in this field. So that means we have a lot of challenges in the future. Now, let me say a few words about our Actuarial Association. Actuarial Association was established in 2004. The mission statement of the Actuarial Association is to promote the actuarial science, its practical application, and professional development and education of the actuaries in the Republic of Macedonia. I would say that we are really proud with the work of the Actuarial Association because we do not have any other professional association in the insurance field except the Actuarial Association. Always we send messages to the industry that we need our good partner. We need professional association of insurance companies. We need professional association of insurance intermediaries. So this is another message that these 32 actuaries that we have in Macedonia are more risk aware about their important role. And that's why from our point of view, from supervisory point of view, we are really proud about the work of actuaries that we have in Macedonia. Since 2016, Actuarial Association of Macedonia became a regular member of International Actuarial Association. Okay. Now let's turn to my second part of the presentation. It's about the history of actuarial education in Macedonia. You can see from this slide that we have a very short history of actuarial education. Only 3 education cycles in total, each lasting 2 years. In 2002 was the first educational circle, in 2007 was the second educational circle, and in 2011 was the last one. 30 actuaries finished their actuarial education in Macedonia with approximately equal number of actuaries in each generation. According to the Macedonian legislation, a candidate who successfully finished the education is not automatically becoming a full qualified actuary, since he has to fulfill other conditions, for example, to have appropriate working experience in the field. How we started actuarial education? In 2002, a country without any experience in the actuarial field, expectedly, a foreign support was used. In that time, the Minister of Finance requested support from Financial Service Voluntary Corps to undertake an assessment of the actuarial profession in Macedonia and develop a concrete medium-term strategy for its development. As a result, Financial Service Voluntary Corps provided not only a financial support, but also experts in the field and educational materials as well. The most important person who were voluntaries were Mr. Chris Daikin from UK and Mr. Graham Lufrum from Slovakia. They participate in the development of the actuarial syllabus. They recommended a postgraduate diploma program similar to that which had been offered in Croatia and Slovenia. They provided written tuition materials for each of the modules in English language by the Faculty and Institute of Actuaries in the United Kingdom. Most of the relevant materials were also available in Serbo-Croatian language from the courses which were held in Zagreb in 1999 and 2001. According to this program, 2 generations of actuaries finished their education. After the establishment of Insurance Supervisory Authority in 2010, our authority took the responsibility for organizing the actuarial education based on the law. We made a restructuring of syllabus, however, keeping the scope and depth of the topics in the same level. The reason of doing this restructuring was to reach full compliance with the syllabus used by the Croatian Actuarial Association because, as I mentioned before, many subjects were covered by professionals from Croatia on one side, and on the other side, due to the learning resources and tools on Serbo-Croatian language, which is easy to understand and very close to our Macedonian language. According to the new structured program, by now, only one generation was educated. And what happened after 2013? Why we stopped to organize actuarial education? Because of the politicians. Why? The government made some changes in many laws in the country which are related with all kinds of state exams. by establishing some center for state examination, and in that way, they overtook the responsibility, which was under our power, to organize the professional examination for the actuaries. Now, you can imagine that in one room, if you like to have a license for hunting the birds, if you like to have a driving license, and if you like to be qualified actuary, you have the same rules in the examination process. And we saw that it's a really big burden, and we decided that we do not have low quality of actuarial education because all of these weaknesses regarding to the process of examination, and it's better not to organize the actuarial education, instead to have low quality. But however, I will tell you some exclusive news from yesterday, that we have some positive signal, not yet official promises, but positive signal from the Ministry of Finance that finally they will change the law, and again the process of examination will be under our hand. So hopefully that very soon we will be in a situation to organize the fourth cyclus of actuarial education, because we really lack of actuaries, and the Solvency II and liberalization of MTPL is just in front of us. Specifics of what characterize the actuarial education in Macedonia, and maybe the main issue and challenges we are facing, are summarized in several bullets. First of all, we are happy that the syllabus is satisfying the guidance provided by the International Actuarial Association. Although, if we are going to have next educational circle, we will have to review the program, since the International Actuarial Association revised the existing education guidelines and education syllabus in October last year. As mentioned before, one of the issues we have are the corresponding studying materials that we do not have on our language, and currently we are using Serbo-Croatian materials. Acquiring appropriate copyright agreement on the English study book would make the education inaccessibly expensive to our standard. We lack of sufficient in-house knowledge, and we have to find way by using foreign experts, which makes the organization quite inflexible in the sense of timing, duration, and of course the cost. So there are many, many challenges in front of us how to tackle with all these issues, even when we will have this power in our hand to organize the next educational process. Then we have also a problem with recognizing the foreign actuarial qualification, because based on what we have in our current law, there is a space to recognize the foreign diploma, but however, the candidates must take some local exams, but again, they cannot do, even we have some requirements. We have some Macedonians who finish actuarial education in Switzerland, and we cannot recognize his diploma, his certification, because he is not able to take the local exams, because we don't have examination. So this is another aspect that we must pay attention. Okay. Now, let me back to the third sector of my presentation about what the development of actuarial profession in the region. I'm talking about the Western Balkan countries, 6 Western Balkan countries, but just for a better understanding, Bosnia and Herzegovina, besides it's one country, but in terms of insurance supervisory power, and in terms of regulation, and in terms of actuarial education, they have 2 parts: Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina and Republic of Srpska. So that's why in this survey we have 7, I would say not countries, but 7 parts. So One of the important commonalities of the Western Balkan countries is the same level of insurance development, the same level of insurance structure in terms of presence of foreign and local companies, in terms of product structure. So we have a lot of commonalities. Now, let me share some data regarding to the development of actuarial profession in the region. We choose two parameters. The first is the number of qualified actuaries that work in the country, including the outsourced actuaries from other countries. And the second, the number of insurance companies as the greatest demander of actuaries. What we find is that the average number of available qualified actuaries in the country per company is in the range of 0.7 in Kosovo and 3.5 in Serbia. Of course, the actuaries are employed in other institutions, so in practice, this number is even lower. If we include these two extremes, for other countries, this number ranges from 1 to 2 actuaries per company. This tells us that all of us are facing the same problem of insufficient number of qualified actuaries to cover even the traditional responsibilities. And we want to talk further about the actuarial function, risk management, decision making. We have to find a way to remedy this situation. It's evident that we need more actuaries. And what is the first step towards becoming an actuary? Of course, the actuarial education. I will come back in my conclusion about what I would like to suggest. As a second step of the survey that we realized, we were interested in answering several questions about the current status of the actuarial education in the region. We wanted to see, first, whether the actuarial education, and not any kind of actuarial education, but an actuarial education which is in compliance with the International Actuarial Association guidelines, is available in the country. From the answer, we see 4 out of 3 countries had put into practice an actuarial education which is in compliance with the International Actuarial Association guidelines. 2 out of the 3 countries, which are marked in the column no, have prescribed rules for such education. However, those rules are not put into practice. And 1 country does not have anything. Next, we want to talk about the continuity of the actuarial education, whether it is available to candidates every year. Out of 4 countries that do have actuarial education, only 1 country offers this possibility for the potential candidates. So only 1 country has continuing education cycles. Having the proper tuition materials we design as a convenience. Again, the study materials are tailored according to the syllabus in only 1 country. So we lack of study materials. Then we ask whether the actuarial education in the country is something that is settled on a firm base, or the country is still trying to find appropriate solution. For example, the education cycles are not consistent among the generations. This is important feature to tell if the education is organized to satisfy some urgent need. The results show that only 1 country has settled down the organization, and all other 6 countries are merging towards finding an appropriate solution. Self-sustainability, whether the country has domestic experts that they can teach. Again, if this is not the case, as we say in the Macedonia example, the problem that arises every time when the education is organized. We have positive answer for only 1 country. However, having regard to these characteristics, the answer to the more advanced question, whether the country has a systemic solution, in organizing the actuarial education is trivial. None of the countries has such a solution where the actuarial education is in the hand of actuaries, which is also very important. This way, we slowly come to my point that one of the biggest reasons for facing all problems we previously talked is maybe the access to actuarial education. So, what is my conclusion, my recommendation, and my messages? And also, this is my dream. What we need for these small countries in the Balkan in terms of developing the capacity of actuarial profession. First of all, we need harmonized regulatory framework for actuarial education and licensing. And second, we need maybe the regional hub, regional center. What will be his role? First of all, will be the education, the actuarial education, the continuing education. Then, this center also can be involved in statistics, in collecting the data. We know that the data is the most important tool for actuaries and for the insurance industry. Then this center also can conduct some research activities. For example, catastrophic modeling, probability tables. This is something that we really miss in our region. We cannot find in every country probability tables. Their lack of modeling the cat risk. So that's why I would like to promote the idea of establishing this regional hub. Maybe Macedonia and Skopje could be the seat of this hub. So I believe that I will put this in front of my agenda, and I hope to the end of my second term as a supervisor, which will be end of 2019, I will accomplish this idea. So thank you very much for your attention.